the serve. It's just like keeping the spin that you put on it, but putting more drive to the ball as well.
Spoon and spoon, stirring.
It's like you're putting a lot of energy into moving your racket upwards instead of through it. If you put more energy through the ball, it means you've got to be more accurate. You're leaving the ball quite late to hit it there, as I spoke to in the other track. What was that? I just got cut off. Yeah. So you got to be more accurate with the power. If you have less spin, more spin, you can be. It's like more flexible, but ultimately less control over where the ball goes. And you're obviously less effective. It's not that you don't know where the ball is going to be, but if you're using more power to play deeper, then you've got to manage the spin more as well, actually. So it's just like the spin that you're using is too much. If it's like a slider, then so you've got a slider going from 0 to 13, one for spin and one for direct drive and power through the ball. Your spin is at like maybe 11 out of 13 consistently, and your power is at 7, or maybe less, maybe 6. Whereas Roger's playing with a drive or a power of between 9 and 12 to 13, and a spin of 4 or 3. See, it's quite like an open slice there. He's not really spinning the ball much at all, but he's getting the height on the jump to strike it earlier and higher, so he doesn't have to create the same. Just some of these points are really great. Like he's not having to use the same amount of spin because he's taking the ball higher. So you're winning till it's really low there, so that you have to use your double backhander. It's because you're using double backhand that the ball's falling so low, right? So that means that you have to use more spin to get it over the net. Whack. And then you're bending as well. Like every time you're hitting the ball, you're bending down, which uses more energy. You have to be more physically conditioned. You get more injured, and your movement is less efficient as well. Like your recovery, if you're bending over, then you have to bend back up again as well. You look at Roger, much straighter back. Your leg was flying out there as if you've never played tennis before. Got a bit of Rog back there on the backhand. Another double-handed backhand, you're losing power. There was nothing on that shot really. You're just playing it directionally, but not really to win the point. Again, that was you're just returning there, whereas you could have played down the line, and you lose the point because it just got. It's too. It's just. That is something commentators say a lot about Roger. It's just too much. Too good. But it's not really true, because you are on that same level. You've I think one more ties head to head you beat more players head to head, and yeah, I mean you beat Roger more times than he's beat you, so statistically better player. Somehow, I don't know how it's possible personally, but I mean with shots like that, it's too good.
Voices behind me sing, sinners sin, come now and play.
You got to do more in that situation again. You're turning side on to the ball. You're having to play a backhand lob with a tiny amount of scope to move your wrists. You got to bury that shot. It's on your strong hand. It sits up for you. You know, if you don't win the point in that situation, maybe it just was a bad day. This is the thing about changing your habits. Sometimes it's hard because you played like that your whole life. But it's, you know, you've got to go back to school, as they say, and learn as a complete beginner. It's as if you're learning with your weak hand, you know, like try and learn to play with your right hand. And I find mine is just incredibly bad. Like I can only just hit a serve with my left hand that goes in. You know, it's sort of like a retard. So it gave me a bit of a bit more appreciation for people that aren't very good at racket sports. You know, because a lot of the time I just think they're a lesser human being. You know. But when I started playing with my left hand, then I realized how hard it is for people that haven't played racket sports from a really young age. So, like undoing those habits and relearning more efficient movement patterns is something that takes a lot of time. But when you get into it again, it becomes enjoyable, you know, and you can feel the competency get to a certain level that it becomes enjoyable instead of like missing lots of shots. There's a big difference between being a complete beginner and having like 100 hours under your belt of doing something new. But making those changes, you know, if someone said, Rafa and Novak are playing single-handed now, they'll all be embarrassed because they'll be like, oh, it was Roger. But it's not really, it's just like the way somebody's been taught when they're young. Your racket preparation isn't very, it's not very tidy. I use the word efficient quite a lot, but like the way something looks, is it messy, is it tidy, does it look beautiful? You know, there's just really no comparison in these images, you know, if you want to talk about grace and beauty, and that's why I find it really hard to comprehend, to fathom why or how Rafa has beaten Roger so many times, and you know how he's got a better record. I don't know if it's because someone reaches a certain peak and then they just don't care as much about it anymore, so they don't put as much effort into the games. You know, Rafa's got a lot of effort and energy that he puts into these games, but the style and the techniques just aren't quite as efficient, and it's not even actually quite as there's a huge gap here. So yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of things that Rafa could improve to raise your game again and get back to, well, if you want to just win everything. But also maybe doing another sport would be fun. Like, you'd obviously be a world-class football player, so like being part of the Spain team might be interesting, because Spain haven't been that great in the last few years. And then like your footwork would get better. Obviously, that's sort of the balance, isn't it? Like whatever we do, we get better at, and tennis is more upper body focused, unless you really focus on training your legs as well. And if you play football, you don't actually have to think about training your legs at all. It just happens. Unless you're at the high levels again, and then it becomes pretty important. But yeah, I mean, if you're interested in some more coaching based on what I've said here, then I don't have any cash at all. So maybe if you send me some cash, then I'll talk some more. But I actually quite enjoy doing this stuff as well, obviously. So I might just do more at some point in the future.